Business news now on the programme. Yuka's joining us here on set today. She's going to start off today with some key economic indicators coming out of Asia this Monday, Yuka.
That's right. Well, we've been talking a lot about a global shortage of semiconductor chips because of people buying computers and other high-tech goods during the pandemic. Now, and that strong demand kept Asian factories humming in February, with Japan's manufacturing sector seeing the fastest growth in 2 years. But figures out of China indicate we're not quite out of the woods. The Caixin Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index, or PMI, dropped for a third month to 50.9 in February, significantly lower than a peak reached in November. Above 50, though, means an expansion, so it's still growing, but the rate of improvement was the slowest seen since the post-lockdown recovery began in May of last year.
Now, Chinese shares have risen this Monday despite those figures, haven't they?
That's right. Well, Asian shares on the whole rebounded after last week's rout as optimism rose after the US House of Representatives passed Joe Biden's massive COVID recovery package. A drop in US bond yields also provided a positive momentum. Let's have a look. Tokyo's Nikkei up almost 2.5%, Shanghai Composite up 1.2%.
Now, the US President Joe Biden has offered support to Amazon workers who are trying to unionise.
Well, he didn't mention Amazon, but specifically referenced workers in Alabama as employees at an Amazon warehouse there are voting on whether to form a union. Amazon is America's second biggest private employer, but unlike in Europe, it has no unionized labor in the United States. Its workers in Alabama will become the first if they vote in favor. Now, in an unusual show of support, the president posted a video message on Twitter. While stopping short of explicitly encouraging workers to form a union, he warned against intimidation and threats by employers.
But let me be really clear. It's not up to me to decide whether anyone should join a union. But let me be even more clear. It's not up to an employer to decide that either. The choice to join a union is up to the workers, full stop, full stop. Today and over the next few days and weeks, workers in Alabama and all across America are voting on whether to organize a union in their workplace. This is vitally important, a vitally important choice as America grapples with the deadly pandemic, the economic crisis, and the reckoning on race. What it reveals the deep disparities that still exist in our country.
Joe Biden there. Let's move to the airline industry. We're talking about London's Heathrow Airport introducing a new fee on passengers to cover some of the losses from the pandemic.
Well, that's right. The airport will charge departing passengers an extra fee worth about €10 to cover operating costs such as baggage and check-in services. Now, Heathrow has been hit hard, particularly hard by the COVID-19 crisis. Last week, it posted a €2.3 billion loss for 2020 as passenger numbers tumbled a whopping 73%.
Now, we've seen here in France French people pouring wine down the drain because they've made too much of it. We've got it again. This is Germans, though, pouring beer down the drain because of slumping sales due to the pandemic.
That's right. Well, Germans are the world's biggest beer consumers. In 2019, they drank almost 100 litres per capita in a year. But because of lockdowns and other coronavirus restrictions, sales dropped more than 5% in 2020. Brewers are calling on the government for help, though there may be smoother weather on the horizon. Luke Schrager has the story.
For brewers and beer lovers, a heartbreaking sight in Germany. Litres and litres of alcohol that's reached its sell-by date with nowhere else to go.
Wir haben damals die Biere gebraut, natürlich nicht wissend, dass wir einem weiteren langen Lockdown gegenüberstehen. Und um unsere Kunden zufriedenstellen zu können, haben wir weiterhin fröhlich Fassbier gebraut und abgefüllt. Mit 2 Monaten Vorlauf kommt natürlich dann heraus, dass unsere Fasskeller voll sind und wir jetzt langsam dazu kommen, dass wir diese vernichten müssen.
Germany closed its bars and restaurants in November as it tightened coronavirus restrictions. However, sales of bottled beer in shops haven't been enough to make up the numbers, with certain breweries seeing drops in revenue of 70 to 80%. Given the prevalence of smaller beer makers in Germany, more than 1,000 out of over 1,500, it's left the sector facing a crisis, one worsened by brewers not receiving state aid given to bars and pubs. Even so, and despite concerns over new variants of the coronavirus, The government hopes outdoor sales with less risk of contamination will pick up in the weeks ahead, as they did after the nation's initial lockdown last year.
Ich gehe nach wie vor davon aus, dass es möglich sein wird, unter Einhaltung aller Hygienevorschriften und der gebotenen Sorgfalt in den kommenden Tagen im Umfeld von Ostern auch Außengastronomie zuzulassen bei schönem Wetter und an den Orten, die dafür geeignet sind.
As they balance the need to avoid further contamination with economic fallout from the pandemic, authorities will be discussing a possible easing of restrictions, for now set to last until the end of the week.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yuko Boyer with business news for you on France 24.